Watch this analysis for a complete understanding. Now let's take up a column written by UxSaShE4mJ.mp4. I'm sure the discussion of this column can trigger quite a controversy in the comment section. But please remember, we are just discussing the viewpoints of the author and the ideas expressed in his column. And as UPSC aspirants, I would expect you to display enough sensibility and maturity to tolerate a different viewpoint, because it is the tolerance of different ideas which will provide space for rational thought, and it is actually a test of few ethical values as well, such as tolerance, impartiality and empathy. And these are key values which has to be present in an aspiring bureaucrat. Such a tolerance of different ideas will actually help you to understand the other side of the argument, even though it goes against your personal judgments, and hence this discussion can be useful for your GS paper 4 as well. The writer is referring to the hysteria of war which has gripped the country, and in the opening sentence of the column itself, he clearly mentions that this article is a dissent note. He says the article may not be accepted, it may not be welcomed, it might trigger a controversy, but still he wants to express his dissent against the hysteria of war which has gripped the country. According to the writer, there is a sense of euphoria and achievement which has gripped the country after the airstrikes. The escalation of tensions has led to warmongering amongst few sections of the society, and the writer feels that such a hysteria has been promoted by various sections of the media, including newspapers and especially electronic media, and even among citizens and celebrities. You find very few people who are raising questions or raising rational questions, and this represents a dangerous trend for democracy and rational thought. The writer says that war is an epidemic. It's like a disease which consumes oneself, whereas promoting peace requires courage. It requires the courage and ideas of a few men, and the absence of this courage and the absence of questions being raised has promoted the spread of the epidemic. So here the writer refers to quite a few incidents. He refers to the attack on Kashmiri students after the Pulwama terror attacks. He refers to the trivial targeting of the signboards of Karachi Bakery just because the signboard has the name Karachi attached to it. And he says that this is a sense of paranoia which has gripped the country. And according to the writer, there is a competition amongst the citizens to prove their loyalty. There is a competition to display one's nationalism and patriotism, and this represents India's decline towards jingoism. Jingoism is a type of extreme nationalism, and according to the writer, this is the current feeling which has gripped the entire nation. So the writer says, in such an atmosphere of paranoia, there won't be any space available to raise doubts, to raise a dissent or to question, and this is something which will destroy rationality. The writer says rationality will get replaced by blind faith and pluralism will get replaced by majoritarianism. And he makes a very interesting comparison here. He says that India as a whole has never been engulfed by war or conflict in modern times, because conflicts in India has generally been limited to the border regions. In contrast, he refers to European countries such as Vietnam and Afghanistan, which have experienced war and conflict, and he says that these regions understand the human and economic cost of war. And hence, the writer feels that most Indians are devoid of personal experience of a war or a conflict. So as a result, most of us who sit in the comfort of our homes and offices, we tend to treat a war or a conflict as just a strategy or a game. In such an equation, casualties and injuries get reduced to mere statistics and mere numbers, and he feels that international relations and military strategy today is completely devoid of ethics and values. This is where the writer gives a call for us to explore our civilizational values, is asking us to draw inspiration from the various creative ideas that the Indian civilization has given birth to. He refers to the ideas of Lord Buddha, the ideas of Guru Nanak, Kabir, Gandhi and various other freedom fighters including Patel, Nehru, Ambedkar, etc. He says the land of creative ideas should draw inspiration and think more like a civilization before we descend into chaos, and the biggest casualty of such hysteria is the idea of democracy and rational thought which should exist in any modern society. So like I mentioned earlier, even if you disagree with the writer, at least appreciate the different viewpoint. Just look at the other side of the argument, even though your personal judgment, your personal values do not coincide with that of the writer. Then coming to the last article for the day,